Welcome to Hamilton Police Station. Thank you for coming this morning. You will be well aware that much has been published in the media lately about the number of road traffic collisions in Bermuda. The reports have included the tragic deaths of 16 motorists in 2014 and 2 in the first month of 2015. They have included observations about the long-term effects of serious injuries resulting from collisions, the costs attached to healthcare and insurance, and the high number of collisions relative to the size of our population. The data shows that in the 7-year period between 2008 and 2014, 29 lives were lost to gang and gun violence, while 86 lives were lost on our roads. At a ratio of 3 to 1, we believe that a long-term solution that has national support is critically important. This is not a new problem, but it clearly needs a new solution. We have been reporting on the development of the BPS road safety strategy that I'm very pleased to present to you this morning. It's a broad-based plan that proposes a collective approach to road safety across a wide field of government departments and community groups. It acknowledges that traffic collisions in the main result from poor decisions and bad driving behaviors. Accordingly, the plan places an emphasis on the personal responsibility each driver and rider in Bermuda has to drive safely. At the center, the plan calls for robust enforcement from the police that is intelligence-led. We will target the drivers and the behaviors that present the greatest threats to safety on our roads. And we will conduct the enforcement in the areas where the dangerous driving occurs most frequently. But the police cannot be everywhere at the same time, and Bermuda cannot police its way out of this problem. In addition to enforcement, the strategy provides 2 other opportunities to engage drivers and influence changes in their own behavior. Firstly, at the front end, prevention and education must be created to help make safer drivers. Secondly, at the back end, rehabilitation must be designed to deter traffic offenders from reoffending. These 3 areas of approach, education, enforcement, and rehabilitation, are designed to work in concert with one another to provide multiple solutions from across the full spectrum of our community. The strategy has one single main goal: save lives, by reducing collisions and making our roads safer. Driving is a learned behavior, and the culture of driving relates to people's attitudes towards driving. The solution is not punishment in isolation. Robust enforcement must be combined with equally robust education, prevention, and rehabilitation programs. Good driving habits must be relearned, and good decision-making must be encouraged. The police are committed to doing our part by reporting traffic offenders and educating road users. But we are looking forward to being part of a larger effort across the board to calm down our roads before any more lives are lost. We believe that road safety is everyone's responsibility. And I'd just like to hand over now to Inspector Cardwell of the Roads Policing Unit, and he'll give you a little more detail about some of our enforcement initiatives.
The road safety strategy identifies a clear police-led role. That police role is in enforcement of roads and motoring laws and raising awareness of bad driving behavior. We have reviewed our own statistical data. We have concluded that in the past, where we have enforced alone by citing motorists and with moving violation tickets, that this effort has not actually impacted on bad driving, has not impacted on reducing collisions, and has not impacted on reducing the number of road traffic-related fatalities. Police officers on patrol traditionally have occasion to stop motorists for minor traffic offenses. Those minor offenses are at times disposed of by the officer exercising his professional judgment and warning the offending motorist about the offense committed and giving advice. The offender is not placed before the court. We believe that we can have an impact on reversing the current trend of bad driving behavior currently being experienced on the roads by the motoring public through higher levels of engagement of this nature. In aiming to strike a balance between enforcement and raising awareness, the Bermuda Police Service has introduced a motorist advice notice. This notice will be issued to a person who has committed a minor traffic offense, and where the officer believes through his engagement with the offending motorist that the offender has accepted the advice offered, and the officer believes it will be appropriate and proportionate to exercise his professional judgment by not placing the offender before the courts. We have created an internal system to record instances where officers have exercised their professional judgment for future reference. And in the event another officer might come across the same motorist for the same offense and might be considering issuing a motorist advice notice. We will continue to target specific motoring offenses through the selected traffic enforcement program. This includes impaired driving and dangerous driving offenses. A person caught committing either of these offenses can expect to appear in the Hamilton Magistrates Court.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't entertain any questions on the floor.
Commissioner, I see here where you say effective use will be made of the newly installed and improved CCTV technology. Is this in place as we speak?
No, not currently.
One more question. One of the matters including raising police visibility on the roads. Is that in place right now?
That's been in place for a number of years. Certainly when we shifted gears towards a gang and violence approach, we put more police officers on the street. So, in terms of numbers, we've had more visibility just in terms of patrol officers, community action teams, firearms officers. There are more police officers out there. The issue is about visibility. So the strategy calls for a plan to make sure that they're in the right place at the right time. And Mr. Cardwell talked about intelligence-led. So for the first time, we're using our own data to figure out where we need to be. Where are the most collisions occurring? Where is the most danger being posed on the roads? That's where we'll put our staff.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Do your statistics indicate what are the most prevalent traffic offenses?
I think I'll defer to Mr. Cardwell for that. He might be able to more information.
Yeah, certainly from our statistical data, when we look at the offenses that we engage the public for, speeding by far is the biggest. And then the offenses that follow closely after that are offenses usually associated to inattention. So that's failing to stop at traffic signs, failing to obey red lights, and driving without due care offenses.
Mr. Cardwell, what happens if you have a particular officer, I'm talking about if you're a particular matador, given a break, I guess you can say, what happens? How does that officer put his personal feelings on the side if he has something against an individual? And quote unquote, you are human. What happens in an incident like that?
I'll let the inspector give his view in a second. I just want to say, this is not a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Discretion has been around, ever since the police force was created. What we've done in the strategy is codify the approach to say we are not looking to just book people. But can I just advise, it's not a break. We're not giving people breaks. What we're doing is taking advantage of an opportunity where the motorist demonstrates that, you know what, they get it. They accept our advice, and they're going to make a conscious effort to change their behavior in the future. If you consider our responsibilities under the Police Act, our primary directive is to protect life and prevent crime. And prosecute offenders is way down the list. So this whole approach is about preventing collisions, preventing bad driving before it actually puts people at risk. That's the approach. Doesn't know if you have anything else.
We have one more question. Is it from the floor?
Hello.
Hi.
Commissioner. Could you address the subject of roadside breathalyzers?
Not really, because it's under consideration by the government as part of new legislation. And I think the government's done a fair job of explaining what they're looking at. What I would say is, you know, our strategy says if you want a different result, you've got to do things differently, and you just can't keep booking people and expecting that to change behavior. So we welcome a review of legislation, and you know, what the final product looks like, we don't know just yet, but we certainly welcome the first step.
One more question, I'm sorry.
I was just had a quick follow-up. It was just when we got a press release from the minister a day or two ago, it seemed to be a commitment that they were going to introduce that legislation. Is that what you were going to say? Yes.
Yeah, and that was last night, so you can appreciate that was a relatively new, new announcement that we haven't had a full opportunity to digest yet.
Your thoughts on speed cams, do you think that would help your administration, your officers, in taking some of that, going after speeders, the speed cams, would it help or benefit your system?
I think the whole point that we're making today is there is no single answer to this. The answer is to look at the problem from the widest possible angle and bring to bear changes across a wide spectrum. So it's not just education, it's not just enforcement, it's not just rehabilitation, it's not just changes to legislation, it's not just technology, but the answer is a combination of all of them. So, you know, speed cameras probably has a place in the overall effort.